there's so many parts to ourselves, so I figured I would cut this up into a multi-part series. So let's go ahead and get started with part one. This part's just going to be focused on my educational life, but overall, I'm just going to look at my career journey. It's not an abnormal one, but it's not really a normal one. But then again, who's to say what's normal, especially in the field of IT? So, to start off with, for my education, um, I mean, I grew up in Texas, so you know, right off, that's different than some. Um, so I went to a community college out here called Tarrant County College, and it took me a few years. There were some real life things going on. Uh, One thing that I am not secret about is my ongoing battle with depression. Some people say they're sad, some people say they're depressed. For me, depression is a lifelong battle. It's something I battle with daily. It's something that's always at the back of my mind. Some days are harder than others. Some days you just put on a smile and get through it. And some days you can barely think about it. But throughout all this, I attended Tarrant County College. All throughout that, I was going towards an Associate of Arts degree. By the end of my time at Tarrant County College, I did 74 college credit hours. And the normal length of an Associate of Arts is 60 credits. There was a little bit of me not knowing what I wanted to do, a little bit of me taking some courses I wasn't sure if I would actually like or not. And honestly, I just was kind of fighting going into IT. I wasn't sure if it was actually what I wanted to do, but I really shouldn't have fought it, to be honest. I mean, I had a lot of different interests, and interests are good, but when I really started taking IT classes, especially my first programming class, which, funny enough, was C++, um, I really just, something clicked with me. And so I started down that route, and things started getting clearer and easier. And I finished at Tarrant County College. Like I said, 74 credit hours. A lot cheaper doing it at a junior college than at a full university. Let me tell you that. Student loans are not cheap, and even with grants. So I moved on from there to a local university called University of North Texas. There I chose to go into the BS in Business Computer Information Systems track. I had to take all the business core, economics, accounting, another math course, college math with calculus, which is not as bad as it sounds. Actually, I kind of liked it because there was like no calculus in it. You're thinking calculus with like differential equations and all this. No. In fact, differential equations and high level calculus is what turns me off of going into an engineering degree. But keeping that momentum going, I did really well going through all these courses. I hit a roadblock hitting into the upper level statistics course, which is, from what I understand, not really a weed out course, but kind of designed as a weed out course. Still, I got through it on the second try and did really well. Finished out my degree and got out of there after a additional 75 credit hours. So, Bachelor of Science degree. Through this, I got into an internship, which then led into a co-op, which led into a a full-time employment opportunity. So through my last year and a half, I was employed part-time while going to the University of North Texas. And when I finished with my bachelor's, I had a job. So when I started that job, after about 6 months, because I had been employed so long, I was already eligible for tuition reimbursement through my employer. So I had already developed an interest in cybersecurity. So I enrolled at the University of Dallas in their Master of Science in Cybersecurity program and graduated that with a 3.75 GPA. It was a 30-hour program, a lot of cool classes. The capstone was implementing a firewall in a Palo Alto virtual appliance. And we were given a certain set of specifications. We had to implement that firewall. The professor went in, tested against it. We had to correct it, deliver a final report and presentation, all that fun stuff. But I finished the program. I used that degree and pivoted myself from my IT help desk job, because at this point I was still in the IT help desk, though I had moved up a few positions and was actually a team lead at this point. They called it a technical coach, but I was a team lead at this point, and I pivoted from help desk into security. I became an event analyst, which is a tier 1 incident response analyst for how our security program was structured at the time. Now, when I came in, we had me and one other employee, and then the manager and several contractors, because our incident response program was getting up off the ground. And then our manager left after about 8 months to pursue something else, because security wasn't his thing, to be honest, which is cool. It's understandable. So after about 3 years, I moved out of that position into a tier 2 role. No, I'm sorry, it was 4 years. I moved into a tier 2 role. And all throughout those 4 years, our program was growing. And I had actually helped establish all of our current processes. So all the current processes that my employer uses for incident response either were not there or were there at a skin and bones level when I got there as a tier 1 analyst. And I helped to grow those processes. I was either there when they were implemented, or I was actually involved in creating them. So I became a tier 2 analyst, doing actual forensics, getting certifications, that sort of thing. That's going to be another a part 2 of this video. And then after another year and a half, I moved on to being a tier 3 analyst. So I was one of the most senior analysts globally for my employer. And our entire team, through various issues, we had to regrow our entire team, basically from the ground up. And it was not fun, but we did it. Me and the current manager, we did it together. We grew the entire team. And throughout me being there, while I was there, I developed an interest in engineering. Now, stepping back a little, right before I had become a tier 3 analyst, I identified certain gaps and realized that while I loved the security arena, being an incident response analyst wasn't for me. And to move on to a different part of security and fill those gaps, I needed to either change my thinking or do something different, and I didn't want to leave my employer. So my thinking was I loved structured learning. So I'm going to pursue a second master's. I could afford to do it. So I enrolled at Dakota State University for their Master of Science in Information Systems. This was a 30-hour program. So by the time I had become a Tier 3 analyst, I was already more than halfway through that program. By the time we finished regrowing the program, I had finished that degree. So another 30 hours. That's 60 hours total of graduate credit at this point. And I had decided, because of the way our security program within the company was growing, that I was going to pursue a more engineering route. But I didn't like the way that our corporate engineering program ran. I enjoyed supporting our Cyber Fusion Center groups, so the subset of our security groups globally. Well, after a while, I was able to use that, and our director and senior director developed a program that's specifically tailored to meeting the engineering and enterprise level needs of our Cyber Fusion Center, to where me and my current manager are a 2-person team that does a lot of different stuff within our Fusion Center just for these teams. So we focus our engineering efforts on our Fusion Center so that our corporate global security engineering team can focus on the corporation as a whole, so that they don't have to sit there and focus just on engineering incident response solutions, or just figuring out the issues with a forensics tool. We handle all that now, and we handle it so that the corporate security engineering team doesn't have to. About a year and a half ago, I decided that I just wanted to pursue some leisure studies. I never took a world history or a global history course. I never took a Texas history course. I was actually interested in Texas history. Some really interesting stuff there. I never took a film appreciation course. There's a few other courses that I was just interested in taking. And junior colleges are cheap enough. So I enrolled at Collin College, another junior college out here. And I took 27 hours worth of credit. And I decided, you know what? This last semester I decided, I feel like I'm done here. I feel like I'm going to move on. So I submitted a degree plan, and I said, I want to match all this to the Associate of Arts degree. I've already done the research. I know I meet all the requirements. I want to change my degree plan. They said, cool. I submitted the paperwork. They agreed. And then I turned around and I submitted the graduation paperwork. And I graduated this past weekend with an Associate of Arts. My full running total as of now, 176 undergraduate hours, 60 graduate hours. So what's next for me, education-wise? I want to eventually pursue a doctorate. But what's that in? Not sure yet. The next step in figuring that out is a Master of Library and Information Science. I'm using that as my trial into that field. And I'll go more in depth into that in a later video. So stay tuned for part 2, which is on my professional career itself outside of the education side of things. Bye-bye for now.